Hey friends, this is Marilyn from Tarot Clarity. Some of you may notice that I'm in this shirt a few times. It's because I have a hectic few days ahead of me, and I just want to have a few videos in line for when I'm not around. I also don't, as frequently as I ought, thank you for subscribing, especially to thank my members for being members, and for all of you who subscribe, like, share, hype, anything that you do to help this channel grow. I appreciate it, because the only way that I can sustain this channel is through the kindness of others. And many of you are beyond just being strangers who are kind. You know, many of you I have relationships with in conversations off the channel. So I think you know who you are, and I think you also are swell. Okay, now today, I don't have any idea what I'm going to do a reading on, but I do want to touch base on the rather personal reading that I shared the other day on I was wearing this shirt, so it was a video I just made a couple minutes ago, but for you, I think you'll be seeing it yesterday. And it was in reference to my mom, and it was extremely personal. I said a lot of personal things, and it wasn't so much, well, to put it out there in the universe. As some of you may recall, I do this channel in order to share things with my descendants, and the only way to do that is to speak it, because it's not like they're always coming over, and that I always have these, opportunities to pontificate. And not only that, but if I'm babysitting kids and stuff, it's just not like this kind of stuff pops up in conversation. And that's why so many of these things go unspoken, because we never make time, because there seems to never be time. And then when we're looking to, when we want to know what these stories were, the person's gone. So that's why I do it. It's not so much just to put my business out there. I mean, there's a lot I don't share, but for privacy, of course. And I put out a lot, and I put out a lot of my private business, because it serves a purpose for the greater good. But the whole point of that read was not just so much for myself. I could have done that read for myself in private. I totally 100% could have done it in private. But the reason I chose not to, other than maybe just for my descendants to see, is also for you guys, because tarot could be used for so many things. And I try to show the variety of things that tarot could be used for. Just to touch base with somebody who's passed on. It's not because I'm trying to be hocus pocus or conjure up anybody, because I completely expect and realize that the person might be long gone. Wherever we go, when we go beyond, the person just might not be available, or they could have been reincarnated into somebody else. Or the person I'm trying to conjure up could be me, reincarnated as me. Who knows? So I always preface those kinds of reads with the understanding that, if the person is no longer available, I trust that the universe knows the essence of that person and how that person would have answered that question. And I trust that the universe understands the perspective that person would have shared. So, I don't want you to feel as though if you're doing these kinds of reads that you're, dabbling in the dark arts or anything like that. I don't see it that way. Maybe some people would, but I certainly don't. Because I don't feel for a minute that I might be conjuring up their essence. Well, maybe I am conjuring up their essence, but I'm not conjuring up them. I'm just conjuring up the spirit of what they might say, not their spirits, but the essence or the spirit of, whenever I do reads like this, and I'll probably be doing one for my father soon. My father died in February, so in February I'll be doing one for him. And you don't have to do it just on anniversary dates. Anytime that you feel a pull that you want to connect with somebody, you could do it. But it's to bring comfort, it's to bring solace. It's to touch base with them. It's to forgive ourselves a lot of times. There's, certain things that, I know when we all have these kind of regrets that we need to forgive ourselves. And sometimes those thoughts, those messages come through. That didn't happen to come through the other day. There was something that I was thinking about when I was doing the read regarding my mother, and I was crying this morning when I woke up because I was wondering, how she felt about it, or, if she forgave me. I don't know if it was really something that she felt like she had to forgive me for, because that's part of us being hard on ourselves, But that's not what popped up. Other things popped up. But I think it's just a really good exercise to do to help us come to terms with somebody who meant so much to us who's no longer here. It's just a great exercise, and I think tarot is great for that. As well as finding lost objects. Tarot is great for helping us find lost objects. I have a remarkable finding rate with, I think, of all the readings I've ever done, trying to find an object. Very few, like 1 or 2%, I have not found. I find usually all of them. I think, as a matter of fact, there's only one that I can think of that I didn't find, and that was because I was pretty sure that it got lost, as the cards express that it's gone. It's gone. So, and I do, if you've been with me long enough, you know that all the political reads are great. Hey, you know what? I try to avoid gossip, I really do. Because gossip is none of my business, right? But when it comes to political figures, sometimes what they do in a public way can really affect us, and it does become our business. One of the things, thank you for agreeing, one of the things that I've been thinking about that kind of borders on gossip is Erica Kay, the widow. Well, let's call her the widow moving forward. The widows, I'm curious about the widow. Now, the widow's husband spoke about women's place being in the home and all that. But the entire time they were doing that, she was a career woman. And their net worth is $30 million, so she doesn't have to work at all. At all. Not only does she not have to work moving forward with her children, but she could not work and still send them all to Ivy League schools when they come of age. So I'm really curious, not of the hypocrisy there, but just kind of curious as like, what floats this woman's boat? I mean, it is hypocrisy that, you preach one thing, or you preach one thing, but all their women. I mean, look at, what's his name? The second you know who, if you know who kicks off, the second you know who, right? He preaches that stuff, and yet his wife is more credentialed than he is. She's not exactly what's the word? When somebody just sits on a wallflower. She's not exactly a wallflower. I mean, she's actually somebody who's got more credentials and is probably more credentialed and qualified to do his job than he is, for real. So, I kind of want to see what the widow's about moving forward. I really want to see she doesn't strike me as somebody who's going to be the dutiful mother who stays home and raises the kids on their $30 million. It doesn't seem like that's enough for her. I have a feeling she has aspirations, and I'm kind of curious what they might be. And I think it's our business, since they practice one thing and preach another. This card popped up, 4 of Cups. Let's see if it has a role in the read. So I'll go into my meditative place and ask respectfully what the universe will allow us to see regarding the widow and how it might, what we need to know. Is it a need to know basis? What do we need to know about the widow and her intentions for moving forward regarding our public lives, or her public life as it affects our lives? And to do this read, I'll be using the Metanoia Marseille by Bouchette Design. This is the mini first edition. And because it's a mini, I don't think I have to reach so far. Okay. Three coins. Well, she wants growth. Coins could suggest a few things. It could suggest that she wants security. I think she has 3 children. It could suggest that she wants security for her 3 children and their domestic life. It could suggest she wants more money. The female pope. The female pope is a woman with secrets. Think of Pope Joan. The sun. So she's not a wallflower, is that the word I was trying to think of before? She's not a wallflower. And we see, is this her? They're just 2 children. Maybe they're not her at all. But I think her social world is really important to her. A social world, perhaps. Temperance. That's interesting. That shows a level of self-awareness that I might not have thought of. Front and center of the core 9. We have 6 batons. So what am I about to say, everybody? 6 is a perfect number. And with the suit of batons, it has to do with community. So perhaps she's very concerned about how she's perceived in the community. Maybe to some degree, she's aware she has to temper something about herself. Moving forward. So she's about ambition, right? She's about the sun shining on her. You know, maybe she feels like she's got to temper her desire for ambition. Maybe she's going through something at the moment where she realizes she's being perceived a certain way. I know there was a photograph that's been circulating. I don't know what to make of the photograph personally, of her in leather pants and perfectly manicured fingers. And those are like catty remarks on my part. But we do judge on things like that. Her husband's been dead a month. She's in tight leather pants. She hasn't missed a trip to the beauty parlor. And she's got her hands in the second in command's hair. Right? It's kind of crazy. So maybe because of that photograph, which I wasn't even going to discuss today, but that popped into my head, maybe she realizes that moving forward, she's got to temper her public persona. We have 5 swords. 7 swords. And both of these are pointing up, like pay attention to those things, perhaps. And the Queen of Baton, maybe she wants to be seen as this. Interesting. I think that I need to see the quint cards to help flesh out particularly what this row is getting at. Well, this row would be 5 and 7 would be 12. That would be the The Hanged Man. Let me pull the cards. For those of you unfamiliar with this is my signature spread. If I think of it, I'll put the link to the tutorial for my signature spread down below. If I forget to do it and you're interested in seeing the tutorial, it's a video in my list someplace. And if you'd like me to include the link because I forgot it, just nudge me and I'll do it. Okay, while I was finding cards for the quints, because some of them are already in play, and each card that's in play already, the quint is lined up in that particular row. Here we have the female pope, and the quint for this row is also the female pope. So in case I didn't pick up on the message strong enough, we have a reminder here, and we have a reminder here too with temperance. In fact, temperance begins and ends this row. Now, of course, the quint card that falls in this position is for the entire spread, but it does particular duty in this line, and it's striking that we begin and end with the same card. Now, I chose to use the classic tarot. It's for no other reasons other than it's petite in size, and it was in arm's reach, and I didn't have to get up and go digging for it. It was just really easy and convenient to grab. So while I was pulling the quints, I take that opportunity to look at these cards. And, it's a good opportunity for you too when you're looking for the quint cards, is to just really look at the cards, and to see something that you didn't catch in the first 10 seconds when you laid the cards. I'm struck here by these arrows pointing up to this row. And then with this card being a very demure kind of girl, right? Almost like she's the belle of the ball. She's certainly well beyond the age of debutante years, but in a sense, she's sort of, maybe she sees herself in that way. I mean, she was a beauty pageant queen or something, wasn't she? She was in who's beauty pageants franchise. In fact, it's probably through the beauty pageantry that she met her husband. So there was probably some kind of convenient matchup, who knows how rich do things. But I think, to some extent, she sees herself available again. It's kind of the feeling I'm getting from these. However, I think she's sharply aware of criticism. Both of these cards, both of these swords are uneven, right? They're uneven numbers, 5 and 7. So they could suggest criticism regarding what? Well, regarding what I said in this row just right above it, where she wants to be seen by society in a favorable way. I think she wants to be seen as the poor widow, but I think she's very aware of the criticism that was received by her tight leather pants and manicured nails and beautiful hair and makeup, and with those long nails, and you know who Junior's her nails, and who Junior's hair. I think she's astutely aware of the criticism that she received regarding that, and it doesn't comply with the image she wants to be seen as, right? I mean, she's being, not that she's being punished, like, in the sense of being like arrested or, doing, legal punishment or anything like that. But she's being shamed. This was, too, also a card of shame, of humiliation. That was the whole point of the person being awake, and that you could recognize the person. Was the humiliation and the disgrace to them was part of the point of the card, right? Of the image, or the punishment, rather. So I think she's astutely aware that she's being, seen or disgraced or humiliated in those ways. Maybe as a result of that photograph. And that's not the thing that she wants people to think about her, So I think she's probably going to be on the down low, I think, because I think she wants to downplay that stuff. So she might have aspirations, but right now, I think her aspirations are to clean up that image. Now, we do see a chariot moving forward, is how I see the chariot, moving forward through success, through achievement. So she's an overachiever. And although the horses seem to be going in that direction, and that direction has the attention of the charioteer, I don't think we should ignore the fact that this card sits right next to it. Now, it would be more ideal if they were looking like this, because she's looking for the approval of the people in charge, or she wants the blessing, right? And that would be the direction she's going in. Maybe there's a future for her in politics, but that's not the way the cards fell, unfortunately. They fell this way. So maybe she's now being shunned by the group that she wants the blessing of, Maybe, who Junior is taking some slack himself. I mean, he does have a wife, and not for nothing, but Mrs. Who Junior is looking like she's been through it, She's looking like she's been through it. So maybe on a personal level, and this is stuff that we'd never know, maybe both of them have been admonished, that it's not a good look. However, maybe I'm giving them way too much credit, because who himself has never let his disgraces stop him from more disgraces. And, so it's not as though they're pious. They just pretend to be pious. And maybe this is self-imposed on her part, because I don't see anybody there who can't handle that kind of bad publicity. They just put a spin on it. They just put some kind of spin on it, and then a certain amount of people will always just say, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes sense. So I think this row addresses her self-awareness of the criticism that shed unfavorable light on her, and maybe she realizes that whatever her ambitions might be, and I think her ambitions are here. I think she has ambitions to ascend. I don't think she's just happy to be the widow who's home with her kids. I think she is really looking to be in a position of power. But as they fall this way, and are flanked by the temperance cards, I think she realizes that she's got to take a step back. Maybe she can't rush it through as much as she would like to. Now, as far as this top row, I think it just supports what her ideal is. She wants growth, whether it's financial or, to take care of her children or some kind of security. She likes being in the limelight, and she is a woman who has secrets. We all do. We all have secrets. But Pope Joan was somebody who had a secret agenda. And so might the widow. She might have a secret agenda. It's just that the secret agenda has to be tempered for the time being, possibly due to criticism that she's received, that puts her in an unfavorable light, and not a way that she sees herself, but here's the unfavorable light, right? I mean, I don't think anybody in the administration, or I shouldn't call it an administration, I don't think anybody in the regime is bothered, because there's no disgrace that they can't put a spin on. But maybe it bothers her, because this row does suggest a certain amount of self-awareness. It does. That's credit I wouldn't have given her on my own. Anyway, I think this is an interesting read. Until next time, friends, peace, stay well, be brave. Speak up, show up, and in 2026, vote. Yay.